In this video, I will be going over how to run a 6-2 rotation in volleyball. Learning rotations in volleyball is really a key part of improving your game to the next level, as each player will be able to specialize and begin effectively honing their strengths and contributing to their team in the best way possible. So here I've just illustrated the positions you will see on the court. RS is the right-sided hitter, MB stands for middle blocker, and there's two of them. And OH stands for outside hitter, again there's two of them. And S stands for our setter. Now one really useful thing to keep in mind is that your outside hitters will always be opposite of each other on the court at all times. The middle blockers will always be opposite of each other at all times. And the setter and the right side will also always be opposite of each other. So next I just want to go over the fundamentals of where you can stand on the court before the ball is served. So if this is our current rotation, I'm just going to illustrate here how every player's position on the court is dictated by the players adjacent to them. So here we have the setter in the back right, and the two adjacent players are the middle blocker in the back row and the outside hitter in the front row. And I've drawn these lines to show that the setter is not allowed to cross to the left of the middle blocker and is not allowed to cross to the front of the outside hitter. If they did that, then they would be considered out of rotation. So hopefully that concept makes sense, and now I'm just going to briefly illustrate all of the other players' restrictions on the court before the ball is served. And if you look here in the middle blockers in this rotation are actually dictated by 3 different players. So that is something else to keep in mind as well. Okay, so now I'm going to go over another important concept that I'm just going to call base positions. Now, basically what happens is whenever you send the ball across the net to the opposing team's side, your team is now playing defense. And one of the main strengths of playing in a proper rotation is that when your team is on defense, all of your players are going to switch to their base positions, which is a position they're going to become highly specialized at. So I'm going to illustrate that generally in the front left, you will have your outside hitter. This person is somebody who's going to specialize in hitting spikes from the furthest, most outside part of the net. That's why they're called the outside hitter. In the middle front, you'll have your middle blocker. And this person is really critical for blocking on all sides of the net, hence the term middle blocker. So they can block on the left, in the middle, or on the right, depending on where the spike is coming from. In the right front, you have your right-sided hitter. And this person is oftentimes actually a left-handed player because they have a better angle of attack coming from the side of the net. And they're also acting as the backup setter in case the setter has to pass the ball on defense. In the back right, we have the setter. So the setter plays this position because it's the quickest route to getting to their setting position. So they're just going to run right up here, and that's the proper setting position. So playing this position is the best place for the setter. And again, if they pass the ball, then the right-sided hitter will become the setter for that play. In the middle back, we have the other middle blocker, and this person is usually the defensive specialist or libero. They're going to be passing a lot of the balls, since so many balls will be coming straight to the middle of the court. They're going to be really specialized in passing. And finally, in the back left, we have the other outside hitter. So now I just want to illustrate a sample rally that might happen. So this is what it's going to look like. The other team has the ball, and they're passing, they're setting, and they're about to spike. And here comes the spike. So our middle blocker, our middle back, is about to pass the ball. And as soon as our setter realizes that they are not needed for the pass, they're going to run up to their setting position. So let's show that again. The spike comes over, and watch how the setter moves after they see that they're not used for the passing. At the same time, the other players are going to back up and get ready to hit. And at the same time, this ball is going to go to the setter, and he's going to get ready to set. And now the setter has 3 choices of people to hit in the front row. They can set to the outside hitter, the middle blocker, or the right-sided hitter. And again, one of the main strengths of running in these base positions is that the outside hitter And the middle blocker and the right-sided hitter are always going to be hitting from these same positions. So they're going to get really good at hitting from these positions and really be able to develop a chemistry with the setter. So now let's talk about the actual rotations. So remembering the rules that we set up from before, where each player is restricted by the 2 adjacent players or 3 adjacent players, we have this set up as our first serve-receive rotation. As you can see, the setter is currently in the back row, which means they would be a potential passer in case a serve came over. And we really don't want that, because if our setter passes the serve, then they're not going to be available to set. So how are we going to overcome this? Well, one of the things that is very common to do is to have the outside hitter come back and act as the passer. And this effectively hides the setter away from passing. So the setter will no longer have to pass in this rotation. And we're actually still following the rules of rotation. So I'll just illustrate that the setter, remember, they're bound by the middle back and the outside hitter. The setter is still not crossing to the left of the middle back and is still not crossing to the front of the outside hitter. So they are still in rotation. At the same time, the outside hitter, who is bound by the front row middle back, and the setter to the back row, is also not going out of rotation. They're not passing to the left of the middle blocker or to the back of the setter. So here's our rotation. And now we're just going to do a sample play. Here comes the serve. We can see it goes to the middle blocker, or the middle back. And as soon as the setter sees the serve coming over, they're just going to run straight to their setting position. And you'll also notice that the outside hitter, who is standing here, once they realize they're not passing, they're going to come out here to get ready to hit. And now all of our players are ready to hit. So our setter can set the right side, the middle blocker, or the outside hitter. Now at this point, the ball has crossed over to the other side of the net. So our team is now on defense. And remember, when the ball crosses the net and we're on defense, we want all of our players to get to their base positions. So do you remember what the base positions were? Well, we need to get the outside hitter over to this left side, and we need the right side hitter to get to this side. And the setter also needs to come back. So oftentimes you'll see teams saying switch, which means all their players need to switch their base positions. So these two will run across as quickly as they can, and the setter will come back here. And now you can see we're back in base positions as I illustrated before. So now let's take a look. Say we won that rally. Now we're the serving team. So we're in service rotation 1. And all of our players are going to rotate by 1 spot. And now it's the outside hitter's turn to serve. So he's going to step back, and he's going to grab the ball and get ready to serve. Now what we can do here is technically he's not on the court, so we are not bounded by having to follow the rules of rotation. The setter can stand over here if he wants to. And so that's what they're going to do. The setter's going to stand over here. The middle back is going to come over here. And the reason they're doing this is because this will get them set up in base positions as quickly as possible. And also the middle blocker, he's going to come up and stand in the middle. And this right-sided player is going to come to the left a little. Because again, this right-sided player is not allowed to break the rule of rotation here. They have to stay to the left of the middle blocker. But what you're going to see is that as soon as the ball is served, all the players can move to whatever location they want. So our right-sided hitter is going to run this way. So I'll just illustrate that now. So the ball is served by our outside hitter. Our right-sided player is going to get to his base position over here because now we're on defense. And our outside hitter is going to run out here and get to his base position as well. And now you can see, again, we are in our defensive positions. I'm just going to push this outside hitter up a little bit so he's in a blocking position. And we're just going to illustrate another play. So they spike the ball over. Our middle blocker, our middle back receives once again, passes it to the setter as all the other players get ready to hit, and the set goes to the outside hitter and he spikes it. So now we have lost the point, and it's serve-receive rotation 2. Again, our setter is in the back row, and we don't want them to be passing. So we need to find a way to hide our setter and get somebody else to pass. So here are the restrictions that our setter has. They cannot pass to the left here, cannot pass to the right here, and cannot pass to the front of the right-sided hitter. So what we tend to do in this rotation is we're going to push the setter all the way up to the right-sided hitter, and then we're going to scoot them over to the right. And if you take the time to look at this, you'll see that none of the rules of rotation are being broken here. The right-sided hitter is still in front of the setter, not to the right of the middle blocker, not to the left of the outside hitter, etc. But now we have this gap here, right? So one of the ways we're going to fix this is we're going to have this middle back come here and pass in the middle, and this front row outside hitter is going to come here and get ready to pass. And one thing you'll see is that this outside hitter is going to stand a little bit in front of this middle back so that they are not out of rotation. So now the ball comes over. Once again, our middle back passes. And at this time, our middle blocker is going to come here to get ready to hit. And our right-sided hitter is going to come out here to get ready to hit. And our outside hitter is going to get ready to hit in this position. Now the ball is going to go to the setter, and the setter can set anyone they want. So again, now that the ball has crossed the net, we need to get back into base positions. So try and remember where everyone needs to go. This outside hitter needs to get here. The setter needs to get here. And the middle blocker and the right-sided hitters are already in the correct position. They just need to get up into the front row in order to block for the opposing team spike. So you'll see the setter is going to get to their base position. Outside hitter is going to come run over here. And the blockers are going to come over here. And I also illustrated the middle back is just going to step back a little bit because they're going to get any of the deep spikes or deep balls that come over here. And now we're back in base position now that we're on defense. Okay, now we've won the point. Now it's our serve again, so everyone's going to rotate by one location. And our middle blocker is now going to go serve. So here comes the middle blocker. And what's going to happen here is the setter, again, as soon as the serve comes, we're going to be in our base positions because we are on defense. So the setter needs to get over here, outside hitter needs to get here, and the middle blocker needs to get here. And also, this outside hitter and these two need to switch, and the middle blocker need to switch. So before the serving comes, they're just going to stand like this just to facilitate switching to their base positions even more quickly. And the serve is going to come across. And you'll see the outside hitter is going to run to his base position right away. And all of these players are going to run to their base positions. And immediately we're already in base position. And here's another illustration of the play. And just for clarity's sake, I just have the setter setting the outside hitter every time. But they could really set anybody that they want to. So serve, receive, rotation 3. So now we're here. And again, our setter's still in the back row. We don't want them passing, so we had to figure out a way to hide them. So what we're going to do is we're going to send the setter up here. Remember, they're bounded. They cannot cross to the front of the middle blocker, and they cannot pass to the right of the outside hitter. So in this location right here, the setter is still in rotation. This outside hitter cannot pass to the left of the middle blocker, cannot pass behind the outside hitter, and cannot pass to the right of the right side. So we can pull the outside hitter over here and still actually be in rotation. Even though it looks kind of weird, they're still in rotation here, and now they're acting as another passer. At this point, the ball can come over. You'll see that our middle blocker is going to get into their position ready to hit. The right-sided hitter will also go to their position to hit. And the outside hitter, once they realize they're not passing, will also come out here to get ready to hit. And as soon as the ball is contacted, all these players can move. And you'll see the setter get to their setting position. And again, the set's going to go out to the outside hitter. Now we have to switch. So this one, we have to figure out where everyone needs to go. The outside hitter needs to come here, middle blocker over here, and the setter just needs to get back to pass. And that should be it. So here we got that. These two players are going to get up to block, and we're back in base position. The service rotation 3. Now all of our players are going to rotate one more time, and you see that our setter is now front row. And what happens in a 6-2 is that this setter now becomes the right-sided hitter. They become a hitter now. They're no longer going to be setting. And this right-sided hitter is going to become the setter. So I just illustrated that here. So a lot of times you're going to sub somebody in if you have enough players on your team, or if your setter is just a really good hitter, they can just stay here. But basically, this is a really strong move if you have somebody who's not so good in the front row as a setter. Maybe they're short, or maybe they can't block very well. Then you can sub in somebody else. That's why a 6-2 is really strong. You can sub a strong right-sided hitter for the setter and just have a second setter playing in the back row. So now this player is going to go and get ready to serve. The serve is going to come across. And these two players are going to switch. So I'm going to redo that again. So the outside hitter needs to get over here. Right-sided hitter needs to get over here. So they're just going to switch around to get to base position. And the setter is going to come up here. And we're in base position. So the really great thing about running a 6-2 is that those are the only 3 rotations that you have to learn. If you notice, you will see that we are actually in the same rotation as we were in serve receive 1. So if you just start over all the way from serve receive 1, you just do the same rotation over and over. It's just these 3 different rotations. So that's really a really nice thing about the 6-2. You just have 3 rotations to learn. So now I just want to kind of do a quick run through of all the rotations, and I'm going to have all of the players starting in their starting positions. So this will be a useful reference for you later. When you're trying to learn these rotations, you don't have to follow the video from earlier. You already know all the logic behind all of the spots that people are standing in, and now you can just look at these diagrams to see where people should stand. And in the bottom left, I've also included a little diagram of what the actual rotation is. So just in case you wanted to double check that the rules of rotation are still being followed, you can reference this down here as well. So I'm not going to do much commentary here. I'm just going to do some example plays and just show you what things will look like. So the ball comes out. Setter immediately goes to the setting position. Players get ready to hit. And the outside hitter is going to hit on the right side, actually. And if you notice that these two players, when the set is going to this location, they're going to pull in a little bit to get ready to cover in case a block occurs and they need to pass the ball really quickly. And so what do we do after the ball has crossed the net? We are going to switch to our base positions. So let's get everyone to switch, and it's all going to happen as one fluid motion once you've gotten this rotation down. And now everybody's in base position. Now we're in service rotation 1. We won the point, and it's now our turn to serve. Ball's going to be served, and these two players are going to switch their base positions. Serve receive rotation 2. We've hidden the setter up here. We've pulled this guy back to pass. Serve's going to come over, and all these players are going to rotate to a hitting position, and the set is going to go to our middle blocker, and these two players are going to cover. What do we do when the ball has crossed the net? We're on defense now. We've got to get to base positions, so we switch, and these players switch to their base positions. The front row players are already in their base positions, so they don't need to move. We've won the point. Now it's our turn to serve. As soon as we serve, we get to base positions. The service goes, and all the players rotate. Finally, we have serve receive rotation 3. Ball comes over. Players get to their position. So here you actually notice the outside hitter had to pass the ball, but then they immediately ran to their hitting position anyways. And you'll have to, sometimes this will happen, you'll have to pass and then get ready to hit immediately. So you have to be fast. And there we got a fast set out of the setter and a fast spike by the outside hitter. And again, we're on defense now because the ball has crossed the net. We got a switch. And there's our switch. And last one, our setter is now front row. They're just going to need to switch over here. They're now the right-sided hitter. Outside hitter needs to get to the outside. And our new setter is going to serve the ball. And the players are going to switch to their base positions. So that's it. I hope that was a useful video for you. Again, I really highly encourage you to focus on one player if you want to learn exactly how they move during the rotation. So here I've listed what players you should watch. If you were following the right-sided hitter, now you can watch the setter back in serve receive 1, and you'll learn the full rotation, and etc. for all the rest. And remember, the best way to learn is to practice on an actual court. And with that said, I think that's about it for this video. If you have any questions, please let me know, and thank you very much for watching.